Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Interextra podcast. I'm Sean, joined by your co host, Simi, or Simple Simi, as you can find him on Twitter. I am Neratsuri Pirlo,
The man
um,
himself.
the troll himself. Yeah. Um, well, we just wanted to invite all of you guys to join us to this podcast. We want to start bringing you guys all of the info that Interextra brings on Twitter and Instagram and bring it to you in podcast form. So first, I just wanted to introduce myself and how long that I've been a fan for or a fan of Inter. So my journey with Inter began in 2013. So some might call me a relatively new fan. Might be a little bit older than some. Uh, I uh, I started watching football because of the 2014 World Cup. Um, as you can tell by my accent, I am American, and so the U.S. was um, was preparing the World Cup qualifiers, and so I really wanted to get into the sport. But however, my first memory of football was the 2006 World Cup final, and just loved watching Italy in that final. And by my Twitter handle's name, Nerazzurri Pirlo, I loved watching Pirlo in that final. And so I had a soft spot for Italy and Italian teams. So um, I went and looked up just the Serie A table and kind of let a random, uh, random choose, like just kind of let something randomly choose for me. And it ended up being Inter. And ever since then, I've learned more about the club and fell in love with it. And I mean, I'm so glad that whatever it was chose Inter over, over
Over
anything
anyone
else.
else, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, Simi, if you want to let the people know your story as well.
Bro, I need to top that now because you just told your whole life story in 2 minutes. Now my name's Simi. Obviously, some of you might know me from Twitter, maybe from somewhere else, but Simple Simi is my handle with two E's in the username. I'm co-admin for my boy Thomas on Interextra. And it's been a pleasure working with him. First and foremost, I want to say that for the last like 2 years now. It's actually crazy how randomly like he was like, "Hey guys, anyone wanna like work with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, listen, why not? I would love to." I've known Thomas for 3.5 years now. All of you guys for 3.5 years now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, talking about me, um, I am 21 years of age, first of all. So, therefore, I can't be an Inter fan for that long, right? But it's kind of started like, it was a slow, like, falling in love kind of thing. It wasn't love at first sight. It was like, the first Italian team that you see on TV in terms of like, the games you watch, right? And then somehow it just like over the first few like games that you watch, the first few seasons that you watch, even kind of just starts to like you start to identify with a club, right? And for me personally, the first like memories that I actually remember is, well, obviously the Champions League final, but it's not like I watched that, you know, like with my heart like burning for Inter. It was more like, okay, you kind of remember it happening because I was what, 6 or 7 at the time, right? And
Yep.
then it was probably like somewhere around the time that you mentioned, like 2013, 2014, when prime banter era was in full flow. And then the start of me actually watching like games properly, like on a regular basis, was probably when Icardi was doing like numbers, right? So those kind of seasons, like I remember the Vecino goal vividly. So qualifying for Champions
The
League, that was something that was
oh,
I was already very much locked in. But the problem was that I never had any Inter fans to talk to, right? Which is obviously why Twitter's so great. I never knew any Inter fans. I didn't connect with anyone. I was just watching it on the side, and I was just like, okay, like I know that this is my team. It's just. Also, when I was younger, I used to watch Salzburg a lot, right? So my kind of team, I don't even want to say it shifted, right? But when you're younger, you don't really understand like the way Red Bull operates as a as a company
ownership
basically
and
in
yeah.
football. And then when you grow up, you just realize, okay, what they're doing isn't really helping the sport; it's actually ruining it. and then you kind of realize like, okay, maybe this isn't good. But I would consider that like my local team because like that's the Austrian league, right? Um, the the main thing about the main thing about me being an Inter fan is mainly just like I said, just slowly getting into the club, and then eventually it was like, listen, I can't let go now. I can't let go now. I was in too deep, I guess. But yeah, again, just to come back to let me not even yap too much about my persona, but like I said, I'm 21. I'm Austrian, and yeah, grateful to be on here and grateful to get started.
Yeah, I don't know. Your story sounds, a little bit like um, a lot of people from around Europe that fell in love with Inter. I mean, the name Internazionale, just bringing in everybody from around the world, the brothers of the world, right? So
Yeah,
I've, heard stories of people falling in love with R9 when he was playing, with people falling in love with Adriano and the '07 to 2010 teams, just
yeah.
any of those eras of
What a shame we
great
missed out on
Inter
those,
teams.
huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Ah, man.
yeah. It is a shame. It is a shame. But we put in the work through the banter era. I was about to say when you were saying the Vicino goal,
Yeah,
qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in what was it, 6 years, seven
yeah.
years, whatever that was. That was the first game that was streamed on ESPN for the Serie A, like when they got
Really?
the rights. So that was the first time that I was actually able to watch a game through a streaming site,
Yeah,
through an actual provider, and um, yeah, oh man, my heart was racing the whole time.
man.
It was crazy.
Bro, what a game that was, man. Every time, you see that header, like, you're like, damn, there's no way that actually happened. But now it seems
Yeah.
so insignificant because it's just like normal, you qualify for Champions League, like, oh, like, you're meant to do that. But now,
Mhm.
like, looking back, you're like, damn, like, that was a big moment. Do you just want to quickly, let me actually make sure we put our name out there, because obviously you mentioned at the start, Interextra is obviously the whole theme of the podcast, I want to say. I just want to first of all say how crazy it is how much we've grown in the last couple of months, especially the last month or two with Inter reaching the Champions League final. Obviously, we're like 4 or 5 days away from it now, and we went from something of just under like 59K to like 63, 64K followers in like the space of like 3, 4 weeks, and it's been absolutely insane. Especially the Barcelona games have given us a crazy amount of followers. Some good, some bad in terms of like the comments that you receive, but it's been a great journey. And yeah, so obviously
Yeah.
socials in terms of Twitter at inter_extra. I think that's the more known one. We have Instagram as well, which is the same, and then obviously YouTube now, and then whatever else you listen to podcasts on. But yeah, do you just want to quickly say what the podcast will actually be about? Because we already know there's a few like inter podcast slash Italian football podcasts out there. So maybe just quickly go through that if you want to explain like what we'll be talking about.
Yeah. So this podcast is going to be a little bit different than we hope to be a little bit different. We don't want to be stepping on anybody's toes and kind of the niche that they've set out for their podcast. So we have the Italian football podcast, the interviews podcast, Brothers of the World, Uncle Sharma. There's some good inter content out there and Italian football content out there. Um, and what we wanted to do to kind of separate ourselves is, since Interextra is a news aggregator, we kind of want to we want to talk about all news that is involved with Inter. So not only the games and talking post match and things like that, but also the news that comes throughout the week. So giving our own takes and kind of talking about what we think would be good um, for that news, and maybe explaining some things that maybe people don't get when they start commenting on
Oh, the
on
keyboard warriors, they're
posts.
ready, bro. They're
Yeah,
ready.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, because yeah, you and Thomas have done a great job over the years, kind of carving out this page for English Inter news, which I think is important
Right.
because Italy does a good job covering all Italian football, everywhere that they go. So, yeah, we wanted to bring all of that English news, give our own take. You can see if everyone wants to say hello to my
Hey,
dog
we'll have
Loki
our
back
first special
there.
guest of
Yeah.
the in the first episode. See?
So, yeah. So just yeah, we want to have Interextra bring that news aggregation, give our own takes, explanations, and everything that we can do with Interextra that's already being done, and just bring it to this format, and have y'all interact with us in this way as well.
Yeah. I think the first thing we actually need to go into is, like, as much as it hurts, is the game that we just saw on the weekend. I say weekend, it was actually Friday evening. It hurt.
Yeah,
It
yeah, it
hurt.
was,
I don't know about you, but it hurt. I wasn't expecting anything, right? I'm someone, if I'm not expecting anything, bro, I'm not disappointed. But something still, like, when you watched it unfold, you were like, okay, it's actually happened now. Like, tell me, what
it
what was what
stung
was
for
going through
sure.
your head when you saw Korea score and simultaneously on your other screen, I presume, you saw Lukaku score. Like,
So I actually didn't put the Napoli game on.
see, you're a smart man.
Um, yeah.
You're a
So
smart man.
I told myself at the beginning of the game, um, I just said I can't have both games on because
Yeah,
I'm going to be watching Napoli more than I'm watching Inter if I'm doing both. So I left that off and checked the score at halftime. I was gonna wait till full time to check to be like, all right, how are we doing? But I couldn't because I think it would hurt more if I waited till then. So I checked the score at halftime, saw that they were
yeah,
winning, and before the game, I tweeted out, "Just get me 3 points, right?
yeah.
Make them win the league. Don't give them, we dropped silly points throughout the season." But at least in the final game against Como away, which actually Napoli lost to Como away.
Yeah.
Como's been stealing points from teams throughout the entire season at their ground. So um, I really, yeah, just give me the 3 points. Give me a good performance at the end of the season. Rest some of these guys, and I'll be happy enough for while watching the game. So, but yeah, once full time hit and I went back and checked, and Cagliari didn't turn the game around. I was like, oh,
No help,
okay.
bro. No help. They could have given us a big favor, man. Beppe should have said, like, bro, if you guys win, I'll take you guys out to dinner in a nice Sardinian restaurant or something. Like, he could have done something, but I guess not. So nah, but
Yeah,
we have to talk about the formation though, because I feel like, yeah, regardless of, I know it's the end of the season, doesn't matter, but we have to look ahead, right? Not necessarily a Champions League final, because I feel like we'll play our usual like 3-5-2 there, but and we'll get to that as well. But the formation was interesting to me because if Zalewski does end up staying, which is looking very likely, that could be an option for future games where we need to rotate. And this was clearly, this is a good Como team. I understand they got a player sent off, Peperina in his last game. I actually feel bad for him, but regardless, I feel like the formation works really well. I feel like we were playing some decent football at times. Obviously, Como didn't make it easy, but I feel like it could be a good option, especially with Zaleski on that left side, kind of just roaming wherever, really. He was kind of everywhere. And then, yeah, we've played that for the second time now, and I feel like it looked good to me. I don't know about you, but
I did. I think it's also a little bit of a sign of what's to come, kind of what Inzaghi wants. Because I can't remember where I saw it, but he's wanted to do something a little bit different like this for a while, but never
yeah,
had the personnel to do it. So Zalewski coming in January, giving us that option has been incredible, I think. So I like the formation, especially against these teams that are trying to sit back. We see Atalanta with that formation and the way that they're able to
yeah,
break teams down. If Gasparini, thought that the defense was a little bit more important, they could have really challenged for the league this season as well. But that formation really, really breaks teams down well that are sitting back. You have more, and it might be, Zalewski and the personnel that we can throw in with that formation. But I do think that it helps a lot, having a little bit more attackers, a little that the attacking mindset of those players and the skills that they have when it comes to the final third. able to break Como down, and we kind of saw that with the 2 goals. I mean, yeah, just I think it was good, and I think it's a good option. And it wasn't the first time, it's the second time he's done that. We did it against Torino, so
Yeah.
2 teams right there mid-table. Um,
It was good enough
if
for mid-table. You can't
yeah,
complain, at that point. But no, I agree. And one thing I want to touch on as well, yeah, is like this was my Scudetto, right? Luka Topalovic debut, right? Debut. The midfield maestro that can't score penalties, but the midfield maestro that himself, yeah, he got his
keep that in
his
mind for
moment.
later. I'll mention something about that later. So
Nah, listen. I'm very happy for him, man. You could tell that on his Instagram where he posted, he was very happy about his debut. It's been a long time coming. Obviously, for a foreign youngster to come into a new country first and foremost, come into a new team. You don't speak the language, and then to try and settle into the Primavera is difficult enough. And clearly, he's made a good impression to Inzaghi when he's trained with the team. So. Now I'm happy for him.
yeah,
Inzaghi doesn't want to usually sub in the kids, but I think at that point he just got peer pressured, so he had to. He had to. But I'm very happy for
I
him.
mean there was nothing else for him to play for, really, right?
Yeah,
We were up 2-0 and 10 minutes left in the game. If he's got the rest of the team playing there, I don't think that he's thinking we're going to concede late. So,
yeah,
yeah, no, I thought it was good. I always like seeing the youngsters get their debuts, and yeah, Inzaghi doesn't really enjoy playing them, and uh, us too. You more so than me. There are times where I'm Project FTK. Get rid of them if they can bring us some money.
yeah.
Bring us some money. Um, but yeah, seeing them get a chance is always good, even because it does help Project FTK. It does.
It does,
Them
yeah,
getting
like
first
yeah,
team minutes, seeing that they can do something, they can get loans or, offers from Serie A teams. And so we're getting real offers, and they're, getting a little bit more change there if need be. But yeah, it was good. I don't think he was too involved much. I mean, he only got 10 minutes, so
yeah,
uh, but still getting that debut, and there's a lot of excitement around him when he came last summer. So um, with this U23 team that we're supposed to have, and who knows what he can do.
yeah. We'll definitely have to touch on the under 23 team in a future episode because that's something I'm very very excited about as well. I'm sure everyone is, but
Mhm.
yeah. Do you just want to quickly like if you I don't know how much attention you paid to, a player's performance if it was the last game of the season and we knew that we were probably not going to win the title. But is there anyone that stood out to you from that starting 11 in that game against Como?
um yeah, I would probably have to say Zalewski. Just
Mm.
I've liked what I've saw in these last like the 2 games where they've played this 3-4-2-1,
Yeah,
and then always reliable Stefan de Vrij getting the go-ahead goal. He's just this season he brought back some of his previous levels playing in the center of defense, and we really needed him. So I think that goal kind of is just like it had to be him. It had to be him. Uh, just giving us the lead, kind of giving us a hope as well at that time, because I know that we were leading and Napoli wasn't yet. So
yeah,
um, yeah, those two were good. Those
yeah.
they stood out for me.
The header was a bit of a weird one for me because I was watching both games, right? I was not celebrating. I was sitting there like literally not moving. I was not moving a single inch. I was just like, I like nice. But no, like you said, the Vrij, I wanna give him his flowers for the season as well because I feel like even the previous season he wasn't the worst. People make it look like Acerbi was like miles clear of him. I'm a big fan of the Vrij, right? Again, maybe some bias is involved, but for me personally, I feel like he gets way too much hate for the performances he puts up. We need to remember this guy comes in when he's needed. He's not a starter, and he's happy with that. He knows that Acerbi is still in front of him. Maybe next season it might change because Acerbi's like slowly still, getting on a little bit, but Acerbi will eventually be the first one to leave if both extend their contracts, you know? So the Fry will probably still play a bigger part, especially if there's a new central centre back coming in that, you know, is going to learn off of the Fry and Acerbi, or just the Fry, we'll
Mhm.
see. I feel like he's played an incredible season. He barely ever makes mistakes. He has that, like, you know, that safe, like, whenever he's on the ball, you don't feel like he's gonna lose it. You don't feel like he's gonna do an unexpected error, like, you know, the kind of hate that a lot of defenders get, you know, for making those errors when they don't need to. The Fry doesn't have that. The Fry is very much like, he has that, I hate using the word, but aura when he's on the ball. You don't
Yeah.
worry about what, like, you don't worry about where he's gonna place his next pass. And yeah, apart from De Vrij in that game, I also want to give a shout out to, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Joaquin Correa. He played a good game, man. He played a good game. He scored a good goal. He's dropped back, picked up the ball, tried to dribble. I know not everything worked, but you can't really say much. He played a good game.
Yeah, I think he did his job.
Yeah,
You know, if you go like FOT Mob or Sofa Score, and they're gonna give him he got a goal, so they're gonna give him, I don't know, who knows, 7 or 8 just because of that. But yeah, maybe if we played this formation 2, 3 years ago, he could have settled in a little bit better. But
yeah.
he was actually, he's putting his passes, and I said it on a space last week, but he was placing his passes well. It's like, finally you're doing the simple
Bare
things
minimum.
right. It was, yeah, yeah. And it was good to see. Anytime he plays, we need that, because that's what he loves to do, is to drop in and be able to connect. I mean, he had a couple of just perfectly placed passes. They weren't difficult passes. They were simple passes out to Darmian on the right wing, but they were perfectly placed, so Darmian didn't have to take a touch and before sending a ball in, which is
Yeah,
huge. I mean, which is important, that that fluidity and the speed of the ball moving, and Darmian's not the fastest, so it's like he's got a long time to be able to get himself in position to send that cross in. So, no, it was good. Yeah, I
yeah.
wouldn't complain at giving Correa his flowers for yesterday, but
The
it's
rest
one
of the
of 3 games
season,
throughout the
listen,
season.
we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. No, but no, you know, these are his kind of games, so you'd expect him to do well. Let's get on to the main event, right? Let's forget about the Scudetto. Napoli can have it. Congratulations, whatever.
Hmm.
The Champions League final. Yeah, second one in 3 years. Talk to me. How are you feeling?
Every day that passes, I get more nervous. I hate it. Like, after Barcelona, I thought we were on top of the world. There was no way that we're gonna lose this final, and it just seems like destiny. And um, just yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the 2010 final, but reading some of the quotes of Jose Mourinho, and like, this is a dream, not an obsession, and just getting into it. But we're getting closer, and I'm starting to think
I don't want to think,
I don't
bro.
want a
I
bad
don't. I
day.
don't.
I don't.
I don't want to think about it. I'm just gonna like not think until that kickoff. Well, probably an hour before, because like, got to report on this on the game and stuff. But like, I'm actually gonna try and just kind of switch off, and when a game comes, whatever happen, let it happen, and then
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But since we're on the topic of
Oh,
the
quick
final,
question.
what's up?
Quick question. Are we both negativity FC, or are you a little bit more positive when it
Oh, I'm
comes to?
definitely positive. Like I
Okay, good.
the
This is gonna
the
be a good balance
the
then.
only because the only thing where I might get called negative is when I didn't have hope that Napoli were gonna slip up. But that's not Inter, is it? Right? That's not something
Yeah.
that we can control. So that's not negative per se. It's more like
Yeah.
it's not in our hands. Kind of. Why should I be positive? As long as
Yeah.
something is in our hands, I'm very positive. Yeah. Regardless,
Good.
let me go switch to some of the quotes that we have right here. Obviously we had the media day yesterday, which was about an hour long. I think I saw it on YouTube. I didn't watch the full media day. I saw Beppe speak a little bit, the president, and then obviously Inzaghi spoke for like 20, 30 minutes even. They asked him a lot of questions. So clearly, they were interested in what he has to say. But let's look at Acerbi first and foremost. who says, if you told me at the beginning of the season that we would lose the Scudetto but reach Champions League final, I'd prefer to play in the final. Now, where do we stand on this, right? Because the first thing that people are going to say here is a final is not a trophy. And I understand. However, this quote will go hard if we actually win the final, right? But I personally would not say that. I think I'd take a Scudetto over a Champions League final. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe as a footballer you think differently. But let me know. Like what what did you think when you first read this?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
With you. If it's like choosing between a definite trophy and just a final, I'm taking the trophy. Like I'm taking the Scudetto.
Thank you.
Over just the final. But if you could every season, if you could tell me you got to choose winning the Champions League or winning the Scudetto, I'm never winning a Scudetto ever again. Like, just give me the Champions League every season, I couldn't care less. But yeah, it kind of like I understand where they're coming from. And especially, I mean, just you mentioned it at the beginning of the pod, just how much the Interextra page has grown because of our campaign and how much we grew the first time we had this campaign, just like 2 seasons ago, the 23 campaign, making it to the final. A much easier road and that to that final than this one, but
100%.
yeah. But so, and I get the financial aspect of it as well, like making it to that final, the earnings that we get, the club's going to take that for sure. If we're making it to the Champions League and we're getting this publicity of making it to the finals, it's hugely important. I mean, this puts us in Europe's elite just by every year fighting for this trophy. This is also where sponsorship deals come from. I mean, if we continue to be here, Nike puts us up in that upper echelon.
Whatever the highest category is called, they have some crazy name for it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's important. Inter's social media grew. I think they got like 10 million across all of their social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of like in all the different languages that they do it. They were able to grow a ton because of this campaign. So I see it. I see the reason. I see why he said it, but no way am I sacrificing a trophy for just a final.
Nah, that's
You gotta go win me the final.
Nah, that sounds like those Premier League fans that will say top four is better than a League Cup, bro. Like, really, like let's really talk about it. Regardless,
Crystal Palace. That.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Listen, I don't want to go too deep into that. We have Benjamin Pavard who says the Champions League is a goal we set for ourselves at the beginning of the season. We will do everything to win because the players, staff, the club, and its fans deserve it. It's special to play a French team, but I'll put my emotions aside. Now, it's interesting that he says the Champions League is a goal we set ourselves at the beginning of the season, right? Because now they always say, we fight for all three fronts, to see how far we can go in Champions League, blah, blah, blah. And they would always mention how they don't prioritize a competition. You know how sometimes the journalists try to confront them about, oh, Inzaghi cares less about the league. That's why in the UCL there's more energy. They save the energy for Champions League. I wasn't a believer in that, but I understood where the questions came from. However, this clearly just shows again that they wanted this badly. I feel like they knew that with this group, it was very much doable, and they have unfinished business from 2 years ago. So 100% understandable why they say this, and I think it might be the year, man. Let me. Do you have anything to say about Pavard? Go on.
Just on that quote, I think it shows what we were capable of.
Yes.
If the team set their mind to that goal.
Yeah.
Right. I think Mkhitaryan's quote in the middle of the season took a little bit out of context, and I took it out of context kind of on purpose because I wanted to scream at him a little bit.
Yeah.
But just kind of saying that they go into games already thinking it's like, yeah, if we get a goal, we're going to score a goal, and we just got to make sure that we take care of the game. We're going to manage it. We're going to be fine. And then you drop points. So you can tell that they had a different mentality. So I'm not surprised that they set at the beginning of the year, let's get to the final, let's win this thing, because they're capable of doing it,
Yeah,
as shown throughout the
absolutely.
season.
Absolutely. Federico De Marco says, I'm going to give 120% for this shirt in the final. 2 Champions League finals in 3 years has never happened in the history of this club. This is something special and unique. Obviously, we already mentioned it, but like I said, the players know this. The players know that this is, they have a second chance now. And I feel like that's going to give them, like DeMarco says, that extra motivation, that extra 20% on top of the 100. And
Does that mean he's going to make it 75 minutes?
he might, bro. If he's not out of breath after 40 minutes, I think we can celebrate already, yeah. Uh,
Did he also say that it hasn't happened in the history of the club?
let me
Getting to 2 Champions
let me
League
double
finals?
check. Let me see what he said.
If he's talking about the name, the Champions League, like the
Has
UEFA
never
Champions
happened in the
League, he's
history of
not
this
wrong.
club, yeah.
For someone coming from Curva Nord, you'd think he would know that we won back-to-back back in the 60s. But no, I know what
We'll
he's saying.
we'll let him off on that. We'll allow him on that.
Yeah, I know what he's saying. Like this new format, this new, how big the Champions League is now since it was formed in the 90s, taking multiple teams from each league in this huge competition. Yeah, it hasn't happened.
Yeah, he's not wrong per se, yeah. Nicolo Barella says maybe we aren't favorites. Very interesting. But I'd say it's 50-50. We beat 2 of the best teams in the world to reach this final, but every match has its own story, you never know. We want to win, we deserve to win. Clearly, they think that they are worthy of winning this trophy, right? They don't just think they can do it, they also feel like they deserve it. Maybe this is a little bit of a dig at what you said earlier, how 2 years ago our Champions League run was quote unquote easy. I don't personally think it was easy, right? I think it was still challenging. But on paper it was easy. I feel
Well,
like
yeah,
this is kind of a
definitely
dig at that.
challenging. Yeah, well, I mean, every Champions League campaign is difficult. Making it to the final is not
Absolutely.
easy. And especially to do it over your rivals, not easy. Not easy to play Milan across 2 legs, as
Yeah.
we saw this season,
Yeah.
and make it to the Champions League final. So, it's not like I'm discrediting that we weren't good enough to be there. It was just we're now going to have played the German champions, the Spanish champions, and the French champions, who took out the English champions and
Yes.
2 other English teams on their route to the final. So, we both had tough campaigns to get to the final, both PSG and Inter. But I think that they see it's like we beat the best in the world to get here, and it sounds to me more of like Barella's not scared. Like
Absolutely.
which is good. Thinking to say we deserve to win. They're not going to go into this game scared or even feeling like underdogs, which is good. Which is
No.
good. I mean, PSG is a great team. And
Do you
I'm not
think we felt a
surprised that
bit
they're
like
there.
underdogs against City? Do you feel like that was kind of there at the time?
I think yes, I think that we played freer because we were underdogs. I think the team went out. It's like we
Interesting.
have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They have to win. They've been here, they've spent all this money to get here and to win this trophy, and they haven't yet. We were there with a dream. It's like, let's just go, let's play.
Yeah.
Let's show them that we're capable of playing against them and being here, and that our route wasn't as easy as you think it was. We were ready to play. And yeah, so I think it was a little bit easier. So I'm wondering kind of the intensity that they come out this time, because last time we just played. We played our game, and
Yeah.
we were able to do it. And I don't think City was they were shocked. They were a little bit surprised, as much as Pep was saying we know what they're capable of. Um, we they still, I think the players were still shocked.
I
Like they
think
never
so, yeah.
really, none of these bigger clubs, these European elites, really played us in a knockout setting before. So,
Yeah.
um, so it was about, yeah, yeah. This time around, I think there's going to be a little bit more respect, and I would imagine there's going to be a ton more intensity this time
100%.
around.
Yeah, I think so.
They're going to be trying to impose themselves. against PSG to kind of knock them off the rhythm and see if like we're not here to mess around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's funny how at first he says maybe we aren't favorites, but I'd say it's 50-50. So no one's the favorite. I kind of found that interesting. Anyway, Hakan Çalhanoğlu says in Istanbul it wasn't meant to be, but we hope this final will be different. We want that trophy so bad. It's the only thing missing in my career. I want it so much. We'll do everything to win. I know it. Again, just confirms these guys want it really badly. I'm just gonna not breeze through them, but quickly go through them because we still have a bunch of quotes to go.
Let's speed through them.
Yeah, Davide Fratesi says the limbo between risking winning nothing or making history. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's just terrible. But this is what happens when you go far in all competitions. But if any of us could choose, we'd want to play in the UCL final. Now, obviously, he's kind of saying, once you go that far, now you have a 90-minute game that decides if it was worth it or not. But you can't really look at it like that. I don't like when journalists ask that kind of question because, like, yes, obviously, but you don't have to think like that. From a psychological standpoint, that is not the way to go about it. That's not the way to think about it, Let me have a look at.
I liked that quote from Fratesi.
Yeah, he's got a point. Alessandro Bastoni says, what would I rate the season so far? I'd say an 8 for now, but a 10 if we win on Saturday. Now, I think I saw you quote tweet this. Am I correct in saying that?
I did. I didn't like this quote.
Why? Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
The thing is that I've been really tough on this team this year. So we won 20. We won our second star last year, and I thought this team was capable of winning the Scudetto probably easier than we like. It wasn't going to be as easy as last season, but we should have won this one. And I still, I held that all year long that we should have won this. And so, like the Supercoppa and the Coppa Italia aside, I understand not really putting a ton of emphasis on those competitions. We've won 3 Supercoppa and then 2 Coppe in the last
something
4
like
seasons.
That. Yes.
Yeah. So, I wasn't too pressed with really, I wasn't really upset kind of falling out of those competitions and not winning. More of the fashion in which we lost them, not so much losing them,
Yeah.
But this season as a whole, I think at the moment is a 6, a 5 or a 6. Because we haven't won anything yet.
Correct.
Right? And so I'm basing it off of I'm trying to be consistent. It's like we know what a 10 out of 10 season is. It's a triplete. It's the treble. Winning all 3. And I was thinking, winning 2 of these, like Scudetto and the Champions League, that's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Like the only thing, of course, that could make it better is the treble. And so we have had a good season. Undeniably, it's been a good season. But we've fallen short so far of everything. And
Correct.
so 5 to 6 out of 10 for me right now. It's an 8 if we win for me.
You said 7.5 in your tweet. I did.
I said 7.5.
You said 7.5.
Hey, I'll stick with that. I'll say 7.5.
I made sure to remember. I made sure to remember because you said 8, but no, it's fine. Something along those lines anyway, yeah. Denzel Dumfries says, yes, this has been my best season. I feel very good. I've been here for 4 years and this is a special moment. I hope to end this season with an important trophy. It has been his best season, right? I think we can't argue that. Like his improvement, especially when we noticed his absence when he was injured, that's when you knew, like, damn, this guy has made some sort like crazy amounts of progress. I'm very happy with how Denzel has progressed.
Yeah, and Hoyan, if you listen to this, I have to give your boy some credit. He has been incredible this season. We have missed him when he is out. He has improved massively. Up, Forza Denzelone.
Yeah, Forza for real. Nah, you have to give him his flowers again. Lautaro Martinez says, my grandmother isn't doing well. Talking to her always lifts me up. I'll play this final for her. My mother won't be at the match to be close to my grandmother. I send my regards to them and my entire family. I saw another quote that said something like, where he basically said, he'll give everything for them. Like he'll dedicate this match to them. Which again, I only read this like yesterday. Obviously, I'm praying that everything is fine with his grandmother. Hopefully, she gets well soon and she's able to watch him as well. But like,
Yeah, I know that I liked that quote. He had I think he had 3 or 4. They asked him a couple questions about um, how much this game kind of meant to him, and
yeah,
he kind of gave the media answer that some of the other players had given. So this one stuck out because there's a little bit extra for him.
yeah,
And when I read that, I just thought he's going to be coming in to make a point in the Champions League final to lead his Inter to the trophy
I think
for
so.
the win.
Yeah,
And I think it's beautiful. He's got some extra motivation. And I hope his Nonna gets to see him lift the trophy. It would be
absolutely.
beautiful.
Yeah. He says, I want this Champions League with my entire heart. For me, for my family, for everything I went through as a child, and for everyone at Inter. This club has taken me in since day one. We all know what we represent. We'll play with heart. He's getting personal, man. He's really saying,
Mm-hmm.
like, I want this trophy for me, for my family, for everything I went through as a child. He's trying to heal his childhood trauma with a Champions League trophy. I understand. Like, yes, go fight for that, because if he needs that for motivation, like clearly he's a very like from what I've seen anyway. Like, obviously I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen, Lautaro has matured a lot, and I feel like he is not just on a captain from the captain point of view, but I feel like he is so locked in that like he will be out. I think outperforming a lot of players compared
Mm-hmm.
to that PSG team. Now I don't know what PSG have going on, but this version of Lautaro is going to be scary, very very scary.
Look, this tournament Lautaro that we've seen since the World Cup, because he got disrespected at the World Cup,
Listen,
even though he did help Argentina win that thing.
yes,
But this this emotionally driven Lautaro, this captain, our captain, um, oh yeah, he has been incredible in the Champions League this year. This is what we've been waiting for from him
yeah, absolutely. Marcus
for the
Thuram
past couple
now.
seasons. I can't wait to see how he plays.
Now
Yeah.
Marcus Thuram has said this made me laugh. My father, hopefully we can show him what it's like to win the Champions League. Now, listen. He's been throwing shade on his dad a couple of times, but this one made me laugh because clearly, like I mean, he's not wrong. His dad doesn't know how to win the Champions League. Like he has to. Someone in the family has to start like somewhere, So that made me chuckle
That's
slightly.
that's true. When you play for Juve, I mean, you may never know what it's like to win a Champions League. So
Hey, listen. It's a sad story, but if you're a Juventus
no,
fan,
I
but
did.
listen,
That was so funny.
yeah.
That was really good. He also got taken out of context. Some Italian newspapers tried to say he said he had a quote where he said that you know if you win, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to lift the trophy. And then they took out the question and said that he said, I'm going to lift the
Oh
trophy,
my
kind of
goodness.
like arrogantly saying that we're winning. Just expect us to win. It's like, no, the question's kind of important. So, but that quote's really funny as
Nah,
well. So,
bro, that's that is Italian media never fails to surprise, man, honestly. We have a quote from the Presidente himself who says Inzaghi said that if the conditions are right, we will continue together. It's a fair statement to make. It's right to want certain things from the club. We're ready to talk. Our relationship is excellent. The cycle is not over. Now, we're gonna get to the Inzaghi news right after these last few quotes, but this is a confident sounding Marotta. He clearly thinks that Inzaghi wants to stay and has full trust. There's no sense of like, oh, like we don't know, like let's see what happens. He is confident that these talks are gonna go well, right? But again, we'll touch on that right after these quotes. Um, this is
yeah,
something that we'll
no
touch
panic
on.
from
What's up?
no panic from our president.
Yeah, nah, he calm as always. This is something we'll touch on as well. We'll come back to this. And yeah, for now, let's just quickly wrap up the Champions League preview. Now, is there anything else that you want to say when it comes to lineups. Is there anyone that you want to see starting? Obviously, we have the Pavard Bissek debate, maybe who's going to start out of them two, and then maybe you can argue if Lautaro is going to be 100% fit, but he said he's 100% fit, so I'm pretty sure he's going to start, and then everyone else should be fit, right? So yeah, let me know. Is there anything you wish for?
Everyone else is going to be rested, so well rested. Yeah, I think the question was is Pavard going to play or Bisek going to start?
Yeah,
And I'm still up in the air about which one I want. So, um, yeah, having Zalewski, Zielinski coming on off the bench, kind of depending on what's happening in the game. We've got Carlos Augusto and Darmian that can come up to close up a game as well. But that's my thing of Bisek has been good in the Champions League. He's been focused in the Champions League. We've seen his mistakes come against smaller teams in
yeah,
Serie A.
and when he doesn't
So,
start, I just want to say
yeah.
that as well. When he doesn't start, but
So I don't know if I want him to start and then we can have Pavard come on and close up the game because I mean that's an improvement on the lineup when Pavard comes in. Bisek's been great, but he doesn't have the career and the composure that Pavard has um, yet at this point, or the quality. It could get there, but he's not there yet. Or if I want Pavard from the first whistle and put out our strongest lineup and kind of just go at PSG. So um, I'll see what Inzaghi does. I would choose Pavard to
I
start,
it's
and
interesting
then the
because
rest of the
we obviously we don't really know how Pavard's ankle is feeling. I would start Bissek like regardless of how quickly Pavard recovers, because for me, like yes, it's the last game of the season and you can kind of risk it if he's not 100%. But then again, he has Nations League afterwards. Oh, sorry, World Cup qualification, I think. No, sorry, he has Nations League Final Four, yeah. And then he has the Club World Cup. Obviously, I don't know how much he's going to play because we're going to take a lot of the loanees and the Primavera players. But still, it's not like we can just risk him and the season's over and he can just have go on vacation for 2 months, right? I would start Bissek not only for that reason, but also because, like you said, in the Champions League he's been very good. I remember that performance against Arsenal, kind of out of position. He says he's played on the left side, so not really out of position, but he usually plays right centre back for us, and he did a great job against Saka, and just countless other performances in the Champions League where he barely made a mistake. I would personally start Bisek, and then because you talked about substitutes, obviously Zalewski we can throw on, Zielinski we can throw on, Fratesi we can always throw on. He's had those two dagger moments against Bayern and Barca. You kind of have to eventually if the game's
Mhm.
in a draw. And then obviously if we need to close out a game, we have De Vrij, we have Damian, we have Carlos Augusto, And then offensively, if we really need it, maybe Taremi. It's not as like obviously you don't really want to, but yeah, I think bench wise we're doing much better than we did 2 years ago as well. Because our substitute options back then, we had to throw on a raw Bellanova, bro. Yeah, it was not looking good, man. There was certain things where if you look back at it now, yeah, it was dark. But hey, listen, I'm confident, and hopefully we'll get to the predictions at the end of the episode. But yeah, listen, let's talk about the Inzaghi news because obviously we've just touched on it from the Marotta quote. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, and I'm gonna ask you a yes or no question. Do you think Inzaghi is leaving at this point in time? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. You can elaborate, by the way. You don't have to just say no.
Um, I think we've seen some confirmation that there is genuine interest.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that the Al Hilal is the club. Is smart. I mean, who wouldn't want Inzaghi, Simone Inzaghi, and the work that he's done? I think it's really up to kind of the guarantees that Beppe mentioned that Inzaghi wants, which I think is good from Inzaghi. He's finally, getting a little bit of a backbone. So um, I think when they sit down to meet, Beppe is gonna say, "You're right. Let's do it. Let's move forward, and let's do another project. Let's refresh 2.0, Inzaghi 2.0."
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I don't think he's leaving. I like what you said at the end. Like, I clearly feel like Beppe might give him a little bit more of like the trust with the market maybe, or some little bonuses here and there for if he wins another trophy, you get an extra couple, another few euros in your bank account. So I feel like, especially with the fact that, first of all, he's gonna need a translator, right? In Saudi, he does not speak a word of English, Inzaghi, right? And which is why he hasn't gone to the Prem yet, because obviously there's been offers from the Premier League, but he clearly, like, it wouldn't make sense for him right now. And he has to think about his family. Like, no matter how much money you make, I think he thinks about his family first, and I think he thinks about Inter first, and that's going to be the decisive factor. I feel like, or decisive factors, I should say. So again, we have to wait. Obviously, like you said, there's clear interest. There's clearly something true to it because all of the reliable journalists are reporting on it. And I just want to quickly say it is a bunch of different information. I understand that. However, I don't understand the complaining. Yes, it's before the Champions League final, but it's not like these news are coming out to destabilize Inter because of the Champions League final. It's not like Al Hilal is showing their interest because they want Inter to lose the Champions League final. I don't think that's how that works. So
their season's over.
their season's over. Exactly.
Right.
They
They're
have
planning for
nothing.
next season.
Exactly. They are literally planning for next season. Therefore, that argument is a bit weird to me because, again, what needs to be reported needs to be reported. If there's a change, okay, today maybe it was that they submitted their offer, they have confidence, and then yesterday Beppe said that they're going to talk and he's calm. Inzaghi said he's calm. They're going to talk. He's open and happy to continue. We can't, we can only speculate so much based on the rumors, but at the end of the day, nothing concrete has happened, so there's nothing to worry about, even though it looks like very scary right now. That's basically what I'm trying to say. We don't have to worry.
Yeah. If there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like, it's just news.
yeah.
You can believe it. You can not believe it. You can be angry at it. Whatever it is, don't take it out on Thomas and
The
Simi about just putting it out there. Like, I would direct your anger towards Al Hilal, not waiting until our season's over.
yeah, go spam their Twitter account, like you know what I'm saying. But no, listen, it's just something that I don't really understand why that is a problem now. That's just because the news are happening now. I'm not Fabrizio Romano, neither is Thomas, neither is Al Hilal. So yeah, so much on that. And then obviously we just touched on it. We can look at the loanees that are coming back, specifically now that Empoli are officially relegated. They did not look that great against Hellas Verona, I'll be honest. Empoli have made the decision to not permanently redeem Sebastiano Esposito. Obviously, there was reports that is a definite. Apparently, it wasn't, which is interesting. The forward will return to Inter and the club will decide his future in the next few weeks. Same thing with Filip Stankovic, by the way. He was injured and was replaced by Ionut Radu, funny enough, Andre Radu, who actually played a great second half of the season with Venezia. They still didn't survive, but, A for effort. And then the other one is his brother, obviously, Esposito's brother, Francesco Pio, who had an outstanding season at Spezia. Now, I personally feel like it doesn't hurt to take all three of them to the Club World Cup and to just see how they perform, right? Not just Pio, but also Sebastiano and also Filip Stankovic.
I want to add Alexander in there as well.
Sorry, Alexander as well. See, you almost made me forget. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can bring all four, I think Venezia does still want to trigger Filip Stankovic. So, because they're not going to trigger Radu, that option.
Interesting. Interesting.
And so Philip, of course, being younger and a little bit more promising of a goalkeeping option, they're going to want him to come back up. So if they have the capability of triggering that, my understanding is that they want to. If they don't, take all four of them. There is no harm in taking all four of them to the Club World Cup, seeing what to do after that. Spezia they have one more game. They have the promotion final, don't they?
They have it's 2 legs, no?
It's 2 legs.
I think it's 2 legs. I'm pretty sure it's 2 legs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch Serie B like that.
Either way, they have 2 games in the next it's probably the next 10 days, next 7 days, if I had to guess. So
Yeah,
they
something like
need
that.
to. He's going to come back after that, and then we can decide whether he goes back there if they make it to Serie A or wherever Pio is going to go. And then Seba Esposito, we're losing 2 strikers already come June. So just take him with us. And then, And then Stankovic had a great season in Switzerland. So kind of seeing if he's capable of filling in any role.
Yeah, in that sense,
Do
the
it.
Club World Cup is a decent opportunity. Again, as much as I hate on it, and I say it's too many games, which is still true, but the one of the few positives is the fact that you can kind of test out these players before sending them on loan again, or if you're unsure, preseason doesn't really um, paint a full picture. So you get an opportunity to kind of get a look at those players in a competitive. Again, it's the Club World Cup. We don't know how high the tempo is going to be. We don't know how serious all the clubs are going to take it because it's a lot of games. But it's definitely a good opportunity to just see how these players fit into the first team. With a couple of the first team guys that maybe aren't as tired. So I'm all for it to just see how they play, and then we can still decide afterwards. We can still send Francesco Pio back to Spezia. We can still look at whatever the right decision making is. But yeah, in terms of any Primavera players that you'd want called up.
Well, so since talking about them, the Primavera players, the team did win today. Their semifinal against Sassuolo's Primavera. And who was it? Who was the one that took penalties? Because Topalovic was not on there. He's not one of the penalty takers.
I didn't actually watch the highlights yet. It's in my watch later playlist, so I'm gonna watch that tomorrow for breakfast. But obviously 5-3 on penalties, as you can see here. Alexio scored the equalizing goal, and Sassuolo's Primavera are a good team. They're in there for a reason, and yeah, it's good to see. Obviously, I'll be watching the final at this point. So I have to kind of because I wasn't watching this game, but therefore watch the final. I watched a
Yeah,
couple of Primavera games, so yeah.
so the names on that list is kind of who I was thinking. I think should be taken. So
Okay,
we've got
right,
De Pieri,
right.
Berenbrook, and then Topalovic isn't on there, but I think since he just got that debut, he should be taken. And then Alexiou, and and then
Koki
the
maybe.
one or two of the attackers.
You would take Matteo Koki, the left back.
Yes,
Yeah,
him as well.
yeah. I think that'll be my 5-6 players as well. Filled a couple of low needs. That's almost the starting 11. You can't really go wrong with that. Mix them with a couple of first teamers. Yeah, man, I'm very happy for the Primavera. That's something that is a good sign, especially for the under 23 team that's going to be in the third division. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. Just to wrap up the episode, we're heading towards an hour now, which is getting a lot. There's a bunch of other stuff we could cover, but since we'll be doing this weekly, we'll get a chance to also talk about the transfer rumors and stuff and everything else that's going on when it actually gets to the Club World Cup transfer window, I think it's called, that opens next week or later this week. So we'll definitely touch on those things as well. But for now, I want to hear your Champions League final predictions before we head out.
Of course, I'm gonna back Inter. I'm gonna back Inter. I'm gonna say, I think I'll go with a 2-0.
2-0.
I
Goal
think it's gonna be
scorers.
one's gonna have to be Lautaro, and then the
Yes.
other is gonna be one of Dumfries or Fratesi, and it's gonna be late.
I
It's
like
gonna
it.
be it's gonna be cagey, and it's gonna be very nervous for a long time. We're gonna get a second goal to kind of kill off the game near the end of the game. That's what I think will happen.
Interesting. I like it. I personally don't feel like we'll be able to get a clean sheet against Dembele, Barcola, and Kvaratskhelia / Doué, whoever plays, right? I feel like it will be a 2-1. I like the fact that you said 2-0 and then we kill off the game with a counter attack late. Maybe you never know. I feel like Dembele is going to score. It's inevitable, just like how we thought we were going to be able to defensively masterclass our way through Barcelona. Obviously, didn't work. It went slightly left, but. And then the goal scorers for us, I feel like it's gonna be Thuram. Actually, I feel like Lautaro's gonna have a good game, but I feel like it's gonna be Thuram, and then we'll probably have like a Çalhanoğlu penalty. I think so. That's my predictions for you.
Hey, I like it. A win's a win.
A win is a win. Yeah. To conclude the episode, again, thank you very much for the great start that we've had. It's been just about an hour. We just hit an hour. So yeah, I look forward to doing this every week. I'm very excited. Again, I just want to quickly throw out the socials, obviously Interextra if you don't already follow on Twitter, and obviously Instagram as well. And like, subscribe, you already know everything. Share with all your Interisti, and yeah, I'll leave the final word to you.
Yeah, thanks. And make sure that you can go listen to us. You know, you can watch us on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts, we'll be Interextra on all of those as well. So yeah, if we getting ready for this Champions League final, and Forza Inter.
Forza.